Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alice. Thank you so much for joining me, and today's video is going to be about eclipses. So we are experiencing a full moon lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Libra happening March 25th 2024, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can translate that to wherever you are in the world. So whenever we have a full moon, it always means there's an opposition that we're working with between the moon and the sun. And so we have the sun at 5 Aries, moon 5 Libra. Where is this axis of consciousness in your chart? What houses do they fall in? Because this is the aspects of life that you're working with, the axes that you're working with in eclipse season, March 25th, April 8th. So the new moon solar eclipse is April 8th, 2024. And in this video, I'm going to talk about both because I've been wanting to post more videos, but this season of eclipses has already proven to be very filled with things on my plate. And I've really, it's been part of my process of working with the eclipses, is really honoring my natural flow. Why? Because the South Node in Libra is in my 4th house. And so this is really, for me, about honoring my own needs and really being honoring of what I'm feeling in the moment, right? And what the needs are in the moment, rather than this idea of what I think I should be doing. So it's been a learning journey, and that's really what it can be for all of us as we're navigating through our own charts, depending on the houses that these eclipses are having, or that we're having the eclipses in, right, in our charts. So how this plays out for people is really, there's going to be some general things, but we also want to take into account what houses it's happening in, what aspects these planets that are in the chart of the full moon and the new moon, how they're aspecting our natal placements. So you can look to that. You're certainly welcome to contact me if you're interested in looking at your personal chart with the eclipses and having a session with me. You can find me at knowthyselfandheal at you can email me at knowthyselfandheal@gmail.com. But you can also find my website, knowthyselfandheal.com. So the sun and the moon are in opposition, and they're in opposition in Aries and Libra, right? So this is really about how we actually act upon our own needs and how we integrate that as we're relating with anything and everything in the outside world. And so with the full moon, this moon at 5 Libra is trine Pluto in Aquarius, which can be really of assistance to us, because this is trines are kind of this easy flow. It's just kind of naturally there, right? And we can really be sensing information from that Pluto placement where Pluto is transiting in our chart. So Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is about exposing what is inhibiting our creative self-actualization. And how do we creatively self-actualize? We do that with our Mars, our masculine nature, yang energy. And we do it with our Venus, our yin nature, our feminine nature, our yin energy. And so as we actually act upon our own needs, our own behalf, and our own passions, what we're really passionate about in our lives, what we're passionate about creating and experiencing, as we're acting on that, we're naturally creating a space for our Venusian nature to thrive. And our Venusian nature is first and foremost our heart chakra, as Venus is the ruler of Taurus. And Mars is a ruler of Aries, right? But Mars is also a ruler of Scorpio, the sign opposing Taurus, and Pluto, ruler of Scorpio, opposing Taurus, right? And so this is how really we utilize our own yang and yin energy, our Mars and Venus nature, to self-actualize the soul in the 3D realm, to creatively self-actualize our own soul nature, our own power, and our own creativity as a contribution, not only to our own evolutionary journey, but also the evolutionary journey of the collective. So what Mars and Venus are doing are really important right now in these eclipses, because Mars and Venus are very deeply connected to Pluto, our soul nature, our power, right? And also to how we relate to anything and everything in the outside world, but first and foremost, how we relate to ourselves and our own needs, our own desires, and how we actually relate to our own feminine nature and our own masculine nature. So what's interesting is that as we were leading into this full moon lunar eclipse, March 25th, we had Venus in a balsamic or a completing conjunction to Saturn in Pisces. And then Venus moved on and went into a new phase conjunction. So a new chapter with Saturn, initiating a new cycle with Saturn. So in this trajectory, we can see the result of how well we've been tending to our own Venusian nature, our own love nature, what we desire to magnetize to us in our lives. And we magnetize things to our lives based on our actions. We must act upon that which we desire in order to create those energetic signatures in our Taurus, Taurus, the toroidal field, the energetic field, so that we magnetize like vibration to us. This is how we actually create in our life, is how we act upon our desires, how we actually initiate momentum towards our desires. But it's also how we actually establish foundations for our desires to thrive in our lives. So we utilize Mars, the ruler of the North Node, and the ruler of the new moon solar eclipse on April 8th. We use our Mars to actually create the parameters that our own Venusian nature needs in order to thrive and to enhance our vibration. Venus, Taurus, enhance our vibration with what we love, how we've acted upon what we love, and then how that draws it to us. We can see the reflections from the quote-unquote outside world to see if there's adjustments we need to make on how we're actually acting on behalf of our own feminine nature, our internal world. Because Venus is first and foremost cultivated internally through the heart chakra, what we love, how we love. And why do we love what we love? Because it's directly connected to our Pluto. As Taurus and Venus, ruling Taurus, opposes Scorpio, ruled by Mars and Pluto. This is the whole reason we incarnate Taurus. We incarnate to actually experience the process of our creation. So, interestingly, after the new moon solar eclipse on April 8th, ruled by Mars, Mars will then do just what Venus did. It will form a balsamic conjunction to Saturn in Pisces and then cross those degrees and move beyond Saturn in Pisces at 14 degrees on April 10th and create a new phase conjunction with Saturn. So really what this means is we are deconditioning our own Mars nature and our Venus nature. We're deconditioning from the ways we might have learned from ideas we might have osmosed from our family line, from the society we're born into, from the groups we found ourselves in, from our friendships, relationships. We're deconditioning from ideas around how to meet our own needs and how to self-actualize our own light, how to creatively self-actualize our own love and our love nature, how to self-actualize our unique brilliance. Because Pluto in Aquarius is going to expose what it is that's inhibiting our unique and creative brilliance, our unique and creative expression in our friendships, our relationships, our romantic relationships, the groups we find ourselves in. And how we can have been inhibited by collective conditions in regards to how we perceive our own gender, even our creativity as expressed as a female or male or whatever gender we find ourselves in or we relate to. We can actually be deconditioning so that we can creatively self-actualize our authentic love, our authentic creative expression. Because Saturn is all about authenticity. But we can only be authentic if we're actually deriving meaning from our own definitions, not the definitions that we've learned from the school system, from our society, from our parents, from our family, from our friends, from our neighbors, whatever it is, right? So this Mars and Venus is important to track as we have the nodes in Aries and Libra. So we always want to be looking at that. And so this is really important, recognizing that we are deconditioning. We can be deconditioning, but it does require self-work. And likely at the full moon eclipse, this is going to be presented to us through our relationships because the moon is in Libra and it's a full moon opposing the sun in Aries. So it's showing us how well we're synthesizing our own needs, our own desires, and our own creative self-actualization built from our momentum. So how we're acting upon it authentically in our relationships. And are we able to maintain our center within ourself as we are relating to anything and everything in the outside world? Including other people's definitions, other people's perceptions, other people's ideas of how to relate, how not to relate to ourselves and to others, right? So this is about authenticity. And it is about starting new chapters in regards to really being authentic with our identity, who we really are. And so we have to decondition any ways that we may have been acting upon or not acting upon our own creative self-actualization and our own ideas and our own ideas around relating to anything and everything in the outside world. So, interestingly, in this full moon eclipse, we have Jupiter in a balsamic conjunction to Uranus. And after eclipse season, April 20th, we're going to have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus at 20 degrees. And this is really important because this is about really honoring our own beliefs and our own value, really valuing ourselves as a resource in relationships. And so at this full moon, we can be looking at, well, are our relationships really honoring what we're sharing and what we're giving? And are we being equally supported? Is there an equal giving and receiving in our relationships? Are there healthy boundaries in our relationships? Because Saturn is also about boundaries. And so are there healthy boundaries as we're relating and as we're engaging in our relationships? And those boundaries and those parameters are actually implemented by our Yang energy, our Mars. So, like I said, we need to actually create the parameters by which we desire to create. So when we look at the archetype of Pisces, where Saturn is, and Neptune, right? We're actually looking at all possibilities in the ocean of consciousness. And it's also the collective unconscious, right? So the ideas that we osmose from the collective unconscious. And, but it's all possibilities, right? And in order to experience any of those possibilities, we have to select things. We have to choose. And this is what we do with Mars. Mars separates by saying yes to something and no to something else so that we can experience the yes, right? Mars detaches, separates, and what's the other word? Detaches, separates. Well, I guess that's it because it's not coming to me, but it separates from that which is actually weighing someone down, especially with a Mars-Saturn conjunction, right? So we have to detach from something that's either not productive, it's not working for us, it's not reciprocating our energy that we're applying, we're not receiving anything back, so it's becoming heavy, it's a burden, right? And so Mars, this is our function of Mars, Yang. We separate from things in order to select the experience we desire. And so as Mars is in Pisces, and by the way, this moon in Libra, full moon, lunar eclipse, it's in a quincunx to Mars in Pisces, as Mars in Pisces is approaching Saturn in a balsamic conjunction. And so we can be sensing what we need to separate from so that we can thrive. What is actually not regenerating energy for us? What's a drain? Where is it there's an inequality in our giving and receiving and relating? And so it becomes a drain. We're feeding something that's not feeding us back, that's not sharing with us back in reciprocation, right? It's not being reciprocated. So that's our indication, that's our cue. This isn't the relationship for me, or this isn't actually sustainable, because if I keep giving my energy and I get nothing in return, I'm not going to produce much results. And this is what can be experienced with the Venus conjunct Saturn, where we feel like, wow, I feel limited. And so maybe I'm limiting myself. Maybe actually I need to apply some boundaries with the things that are actually causing limitation in what I'm trying or what I'm working to build. It's not producing the results. So I need to apply my energy in a new way. This can really provide the healing that's available to us with the North Node eclipse on April 8th, because that North Node eclipse is conjunct Chiron in Aries and Mercury in Aries. And remember, Mercury is retrograde in Aries. Mercury's going to be retrograde in the Gregorian 2024 in all fire signs. So we're going to be really looking at and assessing and reviewing how are we applying our own fire, our passion. How are we actually acting upon our own behalf and what we're passionate about? Is that producing results for us? Do we need to actually reassess things? And particularly with Mercury in Aries, it can be in regards to relationship. So that North Node eclipse on April 8th is a great opportunity to heal. Interestingly, because it's also conjunct Mercury, I find that fascinating because in September, we're going to start weaving in eclipses of Pisces and Virgo, which is the healing axis in our own consciousness, in our own charts. So we are going to finish this eclipse season with the March 25th eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse Libra. The April 8th new moon solar eclipse, 19 degrees of Aries, conjunct Chiron and Mercury. And then we resume eclipse season again on September 17th with a full moon eclipse in Pisces at 25 degrees. And then a new moon eclipse in Libra. And I believe that's on October 2nd, but I do need to double check that date. I might be mixing that date with something else. I just look at all these dates with the transits. So you can do that research if you like, but I'll obviously, come back and talk about it. But this set of eclipses on March 25th and April 8th is setting us up for work to be doing to prepare for the next set of eclipses that will weave in Virgo Pisces and our healing nature, utilizing our mercurial function of Virgo, which is discernment. And discernment is really about recognizing what works for us and what doesn't work for us in our own evolutionary path, in cultivating the quality of consciousness that we desire to experience in our own self-actualization process. So let me just move over to this new moon eclipse. Now, April 20th, we're going to have that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. And at the new moon solar eclipse, it's so close. It's in this balsamic conjunction, Jupiter at 19 degrees of Taurus, Uranus at 21 degrees. This is really coming into completion. So the new moon solar eclipse can assist us to come into completion around our beliefs around our own sense of self-value, self-worth, self-esteem, ourselves as a resource, because we are a resource to any relationship we have. And others, our relationships are meant to be a resource for us. And so this full moon lunar eclipse that we're experiencing can really be highlighting how well are we actually balancing our giving and receiving in relationships. Any relationship, any encounter, any people, places, things in our lives. Is there an equality of giving and receiving, sharing and receiving? Are we able to regenerate energy? Because there's a momentum in consciousness that happens when we are actually equally sharing and receiving, giving and receiving. But in order to have a healthy relationship with giving and receiving, we have to have a healthy relationship with ourselves and recognizing our own worth, recognizing what we're giving, and making sure we're not over giving and under receiving, or under giving and over receiving in any and all encounters. So this eclipse on March 25th and April 8th is going to highlight this and assist us so that we can actually do the healing work and how we actually apply our Mars, our Yang energy, and how we can heal our own Mars, and that how that directly translates into the healing of our own feminine nature, Venus. And as we heal our own feminine nature, it naturally will heal and balance our Mars and our Yang nature. So Aries and Libra, this is a Yang axis in consciousness. And so this is about how we're acting upon our own needs and engaging in relationship. And it's about balancing in relationship. It's about balance. Because anytime there's imbalance, it's unsustainable. Eventually, it will fall apart because it's not natural. It's not sustainable. Jupiter in a balsamic conjunction to Uranus, this is about the integration of the natural self through really honoring our own truth. Really honoring what's true for us personally, regardless of what's true for others. What's true for us. Honoring our own needs. Honoring our own senses, Taurus. And recognizing what enhances our vibration and what diminishes our vibration when we're giving and receiving and relating. What grows consciousness and what fragments consciousness. What disassociates from ourselves. Because if we're not really honoring our own truth and our own vibration, our own senses, what the senses are telling us, then we can cause trauma. Not only mental trauma, Uranus, but a disconnection from our own self, our own power, our own momentum, our own evolution. There's a disconnect there. We can compartmentalize, fragment, and ultimately create more trauma and woundedness rather than renewal and healing. We all know that the masculine has been more dominant in the world. And the eclipses in Aries and Libra can actually assist us to balance out our Mars so that we can heal our masculine nature and also heal our Venus nature. Mars and masculine is meant to nurture and protect our Venus nature. So the masculine is actually designed to nurture, because nurturing is an action. It's not a sit back and relax and be nurtured. It's actually a masculine nature to nurture, to protect. So Mars protects that which it loves, Venus. It protects the divine feminine. And the feminine informs the masculine of taking action on what we love. So this is really about balancing our masculine and feminine nature, and we can do that in relationships. But we can only do it if we're doing the work in our relationships. And we're really looking at, is there really an equal giving and sharing? What I'm giving, Mars. And then what others are giving to me, their Mars. And therefore I'm receiving Venus. Giving, sharing, giving, sharing, giving, sharing. It's like an in-breath, out-breath kind of thing, right? Masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. In masculine and feminine, right? Mars, Venus, this is how we create. So this work that we're doing to balance our Mars, masculine, and Venus, feminine nature in our relationships as a yang consciousness is going to really be looking at, especially with a new moon solar eclipse in that Mercury there, discernment. What relationships are actually serving my purpose and serving me? What's actually contributing to my purpose? Whether that's information that other people are giving me, or it's conversation other people are giving me, or interaction, whatever it is it's utilizing the discernment to say, is there this equal giving and sharing, and so that I can actually self-actualize my love nature, and actually also engage a momentum. Because when we're balanced, there's momentum, right? And I've said this before, if you've been watching the channel, I've said this many times, but it's such a great analogy. We're not going to gain a lot of momentum if we have one wheel down here and one wheel up here, right? And it's just imbalanced. It's not going to go as quickly as if we're balanced and we're both giving, receiving, giving, receiving, giving, receiving, right? So this is why relationships can be an evolutionary oh God, I'm losing my words. This is why relationships can assist us to evolve, because we're getting to learn about how we give and share equally in relationship and support each other in relationship, so that we can self-actualize creatively and self-actualize our love. So, interestingly, at the new moon solar eclipse on April 8th, Venus is in Aries, and it's opposing where we're experiencing the full moon in Libra. So Venus in Aries at the new moon solar eclipse at 4 degrees opposes the full moon that we're experiencing on March 25th at 5 Libra, right? So Venus is saying something here. It's a perfect design. How well are you tending to your needs when you're in relationship? It's important to do that. And it's actually important to our own authenticity and our identity, because we have to really be honest with our needs personally. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves about our own needs before we could ever attract right relationship, before we could attract relationships that are going to naturally support us. They're going to want to support us and encourage us to creatively self-actualize our light and our brilliance. And so the healing that can happen through the evolutionary journey of relationships is the reflections we're getting back and going, hey, is this a natural, is this a compatible match where I'm receiving and I'm giving equally in return? And if not, then we can actually utilize our Mars nature and pivot into new directions and detach from things, people, places, things that we're not getting a good return on our investment of energy. Mars is applying energy, which is an investment. Venus is the investments that we've made, right? So we apply our energy. Mars creates a signature in our energy field. We naturally magnetize things to us, showing how well we invested. Did we invest well? Is our ROI, return on investment? Did we get a good return on our investment, or did we actually lose on our investment? Or did we just break even? If we're naturally giving and sharing in an equal manner in our relationships, both people are going to get a high return on the investment because the momentum is happening, right? The energy starts building upon itself. And Saturn exposes how well we've built the foundations for our creations to thrive. So with the Venus-Mars, both in conjunction to Saturn during eclipse season, and the fact that Venus and Mars are the rulers of this eclipse season, this is very important. Building the foundations so that our own Venusian nature, what we love in our lives, can thrive. But we have to actually implement the parameters by which actually protects that thriving, honors it by protecting it, and creates space for the thriving by detaching from things that would be draining from the thriving and selecting the things that are enhancing our thriving. This work is so important because it is the preliminary work of Pluto and Aquarius for the next 20 years. Because Pluto is really going to be asking us to creatively self-actualize our light, who we are, our identity, our true identity. And understanding what our true identity first comes from really being honest about what our needs are and relating to anything and everything in the outside world and to ourselves. And also honoring the needs of those that we're engaging with and investing our energy with. And making sure there's this balance happening. And that when we're giving, we're not losing ourselves. When we're giving, we're not losing our center. We're not losing sight of what we need. We're not abandoning ourselves. We're not neglecting ourselves. And we're not enabling others to disconnect from their own power and their own creative brilliance. So I want you to know already today, I've done 2 lives. I've talked about this lots already today. So I'm going to keep this fairly short. But if you'd like, you're certainly welcome to follow me on Facebook. I do lives on there all the time. And you can find me on my personal profile, Alizé et Prejean. You can see my name, right? Just look me up. You can follow me there. You can friend request me if you like. I also have an astrology page. I don't do as many lives on there, but if you do like to watch videos, so I suggest going to my personal page. But my write-ups are on both of those pages, and my astrology page is Alizé et Prejean, Astrology and Healing Arts on Facebook, right? Also on Instagram. I'm not as much on Instagram, but I do post there. I'm intending to post more on there. It's Alizé et Prejean Astrology on Instagram. And then I also have a group in support of eclipse season, and that's on Facebook. It's called The Labyrinth, A Journey Through the Eclipses. I just did a live there. I'm going to go back on there today and do a live. We're going to actually do some bibliomancy for this eclipse. So you can find me there. You can request to join the group. It's free. It's a free resource for you if you like, so feel free. So I hope this video is helpful for you. And if you find it valuable in any way, please do like, comment, share the video. It means a lot to me. It does take a lot to do these videos, along with everything else, and I love doing it. But if you do find value in it, please do like it, because it does help distribute the information and it encourages me to do more videos. I get excited when somebody likes a video or comments on it or shares it, because it feels productive to me. Someone got something out of it. And so I ask that you do that so that I can grow the channel. And, of course, it has to be authentic. So if there was nothing that you found valuable, of course, move on. That's okay. But if it is valuable to you, please do reciprocate by liking or commenting or sharing. So that's it for today. Maybe I'll come back again. Let me know if you want more information. I'll be happy to come back again. We'll have another conversation about it. So, blessed eclipse season to you, and I'll see you in the next video.